Welcome to Greater Good Radio Hawaii, where leaders inspire leaders. Greater Good Radio Hawaii is dedicated to social entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Evan Leong, and with me is my co-host, Carrie Leong.
Today's guest is Dustin Sellers, co-founder of ProService Hawaii, one of Hawaii's largest outsourced employee administration companies. Dustin is on the advisory council for the Nature Conservancy and on the board of directors for Honolulu Bulls. Please welcome to Greater Good Radio, Dustin Sellers. Welcome to our show, Dustin.
Thank you.
So, Dustin, tell us about ProService Hawaii.
Well, ProService Hawaii is one of the oldest and largest HR outsourcing firms in the state. Simply put, we do a lot of the back office employee administration, paper pushing that small businesses did not get into business to do, but we are in business to do.
And how did the company get started? Where did the idea come from?
So what's really interesting is that we're very soulful as an organization because it started in the Outer Islands. An individual by the name of Pete Paisley from Waimea at the time was selling insurance, but he was also a painter and saw the congruence there, and one of his best friends was a CPA. And slowly but surely nurtured in the late 80s, early 90s, this concept that really was quite novel. And slowly but surely it grew on the Outer Islands. It was only, in the last 6 or 7 years that it made it to Oahu. And because of that, we have a very nice cross-section of Outer Island clients and a very good perspective for the trials and tribulations of being an entrepreneur on all islands.
And then how did you get started with this company?
It's a good story. My business partner, Ben Godsey, and I, who've been partners in business for, over 5 years now, we're in San Francisco. And I was introduced to Pete when we were back here because we were always looking at potential acquisitions in business service businesses. And Pete was at a point in his life with his kids near graduation at HBA, and I had been gone for 10 years on the mainland. We only looked at one business in Hawaii, and it was ProService, and we worked with him for a year in a transition and purchased the business, and he still works within the business in a sales capacity.
What were you doing prior to deciding to be an entrepreneur?
Well, I think I've always been an entrepreneur in the sense that my parents ran a medium-sized advertising agency here my entire life. I was in the entrepreneur program at SC, University of Southern California undergrad. Came back and worked for my parents for 6 years, helped them transition that business before I went back to business school, and then started 2 businesses after that. So it's an interesting process of development to come back to Hawaii, but having done most of my entrepreneurial work on the mainland.
What were the 2 businesses that you had started on your own?
So one was an internet consultancy based in Los Angeles that ended up getting bought and went public under Interactive 8 and the Scient brand. The second was Keen, KEEN.com, which is now Ingenio, which was a Benchmark Capital venture fund funded business that is still private, being run by Mark Brito, which I'm on the advisory board for.
What did the company do, or what does it do?
So Keen, what it did and what it does now are very different. We took a whole bunch of money on a very poor idea, which was conceptually to be the eBay of information. One of the life learnings is that many ideas that sound good are actually not good. It's only through execution that you find that out, though. So for 4 years we toiled. We had a great board, Jeff Skoll of eBay and the likes, great investor base, but the concept was very premature in the idea that you could take information and trade that information in a kind of intermediary platform. So the eBay of information, you can imagine you've got Quicken Books and you're trying to get tax information. You call a tax person. You've got someone that's suing you and you don't have a lawyer. You call a lawyer. Well, truth be told, that idea was not developed yet where the internet was. So slowly but surely, the concept matured and became something called pay-per-call, which is now really hot if you're into the social networking, Web 2.0 stuff. Conceptually, you've got Google that's pay-per-click. We have a technology that's voice over IP that monetizes phone calls through the internet. So you can actually click, be connected, and actually monetize that call. So the new thing is pay-per-call. So we're kind of at the forefront of that. And who knows, 9 years later, after we've been working at this thing, maybe there's some fruition to our earlier ideas.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.